Alright.
Alright, Shalom. Shalom. Want to first start off by giving our praises and glory to Yahweh,
Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Rakam Kodash.
Double honors to the apostles of the Great Millstone that rule well, and shalom to the brothers that labor in this gospel in truth and in sincerity. This is the brother Python,
The brother Azawaz.
from the Houston camp, and we're back with another lesson through the Spirit. And in this lesson, we want to get into a specific verse in Galatians, the 3rd chapter. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a very controversial topic, the Gentile topic. You know, so we want to deal with that issue and get a verse in Galatians 3 dealing with the 16th verse. And we want to prove that that seed that the promise was given into was indeed given to Abraham, established with Abraham by the Most High through to Isaac, to Jacob, and into the 12 patriarchs, man. Right. And no other nation, okay? No other nation has part in the promises of salvation. All right, Yahweh Shah came for no other nation but the nation of Israel. The nation of Israel today are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, we're going to prove that through the scriptures. Okay, Lord willing, this lesson is edifying unto the elect. Okay, so brother, you will get Galatians 3 and 16.
This is Galatians chapter 3 and verse 16.
Now, indeed, this is Paul writing a letter, epistle unto the Galatians, written, to the Galatians, which the Galatians right here are the Israelites that were scattered in the region of Galatia. All right, there was Israelite foreigners, and it was being called Greeks. All right, by the those of the circumcision, the Jews. All right, the Jews are those Israelites that knew that they were Israelites and kept the law, statutes, and commandments of the Heavenly Father. The Greeks, all right, in verse 28 of Galatians 3 and 28, are the Israelites that were scattered in other regions beside Jerusalem, all right, and they kept the customs of the heathen nations, all right. And we're going to prove that Paul was indeed talking to those Israelites that believed in Yahweh Shah in the region of Galatia, all right. So go ahead.
Galatians chapter 3 and verse 16. Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made.
Go ahead.
He said not into seeds as of many.
Right, so it says, now unto Abraham were the promises made. Why was Paul telling this to the Israelite foreigners? Because you had those of the circumcision, the Jews that was telling the Greeks, which were Israelite foreigners, that they could receive not of the promises, all right, because they didn't keep the law, statutes, and commandments. But Paul is indeed teaching these Israelites that were scattered, all right, according to prophecy, they were scattered, Deuteronomy 28 and 64, that they indeed could take part of the promises through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, all right. So it says, now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. Now we're going to get the history, all right, in the scriptures, who the promise of Abraham went to. Okay, so brother, you got a precept? You'll get Genesis 17, and let me get the verse. I believe it's verse 7. Genesis 17.
This is Genesis chapter 17 and verse 7.
Start at 6.
Okay, Genesis chapter 17 and verse 6. And I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee.
You'll start at verse 5.
Okay. Genesis chapter 17 and verse 5. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be called Abraham.
Right, his name was changed from Abram, meaning exalted father. That's the words meaning. And Abraham is his father of a multitude. All right. So go ahead.
For a father of many nations have I made thee.
Right, and we're going to prove who these many nations are talking about, because also in Galatians, the 3rd chapter, it says, through Abraham shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. We're going to also prove in this lesson who those nations was referring to. Go ahead.
Verse 6, and I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee.
Right.
And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee and their generations for an everlasting covenant.
Right, so this will be an everlasting covenant. It will be forever. So the Most High said he will raise up kings. He will raise up kings, shall come out of him. He will be a great nation. He's going to make a covenant between him. All right? Abraham and the Most High. And that covenant is going to pass through his seeds for an everlasting covenant. That means it will last forever. Go ahead.
And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee and their generations for an everlasting covenant.
Right.
To be a power unto thee and to thy seed after thee.
To be a power unto you. So he was first a power to who? Abraham in this promise. Go ahead.
Verse 8.
Yep.
And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their power.
Right. So we see that the Most High promised them land, promised them kings, promised them be a great nation. So who did this covenant go to? We're gonna jump down to verse 19. All right, go ahead.
Genesis chapter 17 and verse 19. And the Most High said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him.
Right. So you know the Bible, you know the history of the Bible. Abraham had a son before Isaac. That son came through Hagar. All right, and his name was Ishmael. So the Most High is telling him, your heir and who received the covenants and the promise, that seed will not be Ishmael. It will be Isaac. That's what I'm going to establish my covenant with. All right? So the Most High is narrowing it down through the Spirit. That's why you have to deal with history. You can't just jump to the New Testament and see, look, the Most High said, Jew nor Greek. You got to get the understanding and deal with the specifics of the promise of Abraham when you're talking about the promise of Abraham. Not just dealing with a broad stroke of a paintbrush. All right? You got to deal with the, what they say, the fine print. All right? So go ahead.
And thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget.
Right, go ahead.
And I will make him a great nation.
And Ishmael is a great nation until this very day. You got them Arabs over there. All right, those Ishmaelites. Ishmael meaning he was heard of his power. All right, the power heard him. All right. So yes, indeed, Ishmael was blessed to be a great nation. Go ahead.
But my covenant will I establish with Isaac.
But his covenant, that seed that received the promises in the covenant, was Isaac. Go ahead.
Which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year.
Go ahead.
And he left off talking with him, and the Most High went up from Abraham.
All right, so you jump over to Genesis 18 and 18. All right.
Genesis chapter 18 and verse 18. Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him.
Right. Now we see all nations of the earth should be blessed through him. Let's continue using the scriptures who those nations are talking about. Go ahead.
For I know him that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord Yahweh to do justice and judgment, that the Lord Yahweh may bring upon Abraham that which he had spoken of him.
Right. Now we see that this promise was to Abraham and Isaac, not to Abraham and Ishmael. Now we see, now we're starting to get some understanding. So we'll jump to Genesis 21 and verse 12. Well, start at verse 9.
This is Genesis chapter 21 and verse 9. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, which she had born unto Abraham, mocking.
Why was he mocking Sarah? Because Sarah bore a child in her old age. And Ishmael was laughing at her. All right, go ahead.
Wherefore she said unto Abraham, Cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac.
Right. So this seed that was called to receive the promise is Isaac. All right. We see that through the scripture, the Most High spoke through Sarah, through the Spirit, all right, to confirm the promise that was made to Abraham. Go ahead.
And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son.
Right. And I want to bring out the point as to why we bringing this out, because the Christian church, all right, in the world is engulfed in lies, saying that the Most High loves all nations, that the promise of Abraham is to all nations, is indeed not to all nations. There are 18 nations on the planet Earth today, and the Most High made that covenant with Abraham and his seed, which right now we to the point far as he made it with Isaac and not Ishmael. All right, go ahead.
In verse 12, and the Most High said unto Abraham, Let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad, and because of thy bondwoman, and all that Sarah hath said unto thee, hearken unto her voice, for in Isaac shall thy seed be called.
Right, now we see that through Isaac was the seed called. That's clear. Now we're going to go jump into Genesis 26 and 3. All right.
This is Genesis chapter 26 and verse 3. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and will bless thee, for unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father.
Right, so you jump up to the first verse. The Most High is speaking to Isaac, all right? So you continue.
And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed.
Right, so we went back to Genesis, the 17th chapter. It talk about how the Most High will give this land into his seed. Now we see that that land that was given to the seed was talking about Isaac. Isaac was indeed that seed, all right? And he will receive the promise of also becoming a great nation, all right? A very great nation. And the Most High will establish them forever. So we're going to jump over to verse, chapter 28 and verse 13. All right.
Genesis chapter 28 and verse 13. And behold, the Lord Yahweh stood above it and said, I am the Lord Yahweh, power of Abraham thy father, and the power of Isaac. The land whereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed.
Right, so we're going to read that verse again. We're going to slow down. And at the same time, when we're reading this, you have to understand this was a vision given to Jacob. All right, people today call it Jacob's ladder. It's the vision that he received from the Most High. All right, so we start at verse 12 and we'll read down.
Genesis chapter 28 and verse 12. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of the Most High ascending and descending on it.
Go ahead.
And behold, the Lord Yahweh stood above it and said, I am the Lord Yahweh, power of Abraham thy father, and the power of Isaac, the land whereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed.
So, according to the scriptures, brother, I'm gonna ask you, who was this land given to? Who was the seed?
Given to the Israelites.
Right. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The scriptures said it. It's not us speaking our own mouth. The scriptures are speaking. All right. This is the understanding when you jump back to Galatians 3 and 16. All right. Who received the land? Abraham. We read that. Isaac, we read that. Now we're reading about Jacob. Okay. Undeniable proof through the Spirit. So go ahead.
In verse 14, and thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south, and in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed.
Now we understand when the Most High said through Paul that all of the nations is going to be blessed. Paul was just referencing the scriptures. All right. Now we see through the Spirit that this promise of all the nations being blessed was to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Because this is promise given to Jacob right now as we're speaking. So you'll read verse 14.
And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north.
Right, that show you right there that Israel will be scattered to the four corners of the earth. All right, go ahead.
Thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south, and in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed.
Right, and that promise was to Jacob. All right, now we see this whole thing that the promises and the seed was given into who? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and fell upon the Israelites. All right, no other nation, because Isaac also had two sons, right? He had Jacob and he had Esau, which is the so-called and self-proclaimed white man today. But the promises, according to the scriptures, wasn't given to Esau. It was given to Jacob. All right, in the scriptures it said the Most High put by Esau. He didn't give Esau the promises. He indeed gave the promise to from Isaac to Jacob. All right, which Jacob's name was changed to Israel. That's how you get the Israelites of today through their in their various tribes. Okay, so we're going to get.
I got a precept.
Go ahead.
This is 2 Ezra chapter 6 and verse 8. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth.
You can break down that.
Right, so Jacob received the promise, man. Even though Esau was the firstborn, okay, Jacob received the promise, man. Okay, because Esau gave the birthright away, which was according to the spirit, man.
Right. I got a quick precept. This is Sirach 44 and 19. I start at 18. It says, an everlasting covenant was made with him, that all flesh should perish no more by the flood, which was the rainbow, which they used as a symbol of homosexuality, and they will be judged for that. All right, verse 19. Abraham was a great father of many people. In glory was there none like unto him, who kept the law of the Most High and was in covenant with him. He established the covenant in his flesh, and when he was proved, he was found faithful. Because Abraham had faith. He believed the Most High would multiply his seed. All right, when he made the promise with him. Verse 21. Therefore he assured with him, well, it says, therefore he assured him by an oath that he would bless the nations in his seed, and that he would multiply him as the dust of the earth, and exalt his seed as the stars, and cause them to inherit the sea to sea, and from the river unto the utmost part of the land. With Isaac did he establish likewise for Abraham his father's sake the blessing of all men in the covenant, and made it rest upon the head of Jacob. He acknowledged him in his blessing, and gave him an inheritance, and divided his portion among the 12 tribes did he part them. So that's self-explanatory. The promise, the covenant was made with the seed of Abraham, which is Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, man. All right, that seed is Isaac and Jacob. All right, so we're going to get Genesis 30, 35, and 11. Baba Kashab.
Genesis chapter 35 and verse 11.
Right, we'll get verse 10 real quick.
Okay, Genesis chapter 35 and verse 10. And the Most High said unto him, thy name is Jacob, thy name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name. And he called his name Israel.
Right, so Jacob's name was changed, all right? His name was first Jacob, which means supplanter, and it was changed to Israel, means he prince of the power, okay? Go ahead.
But Israel shall be thy name, and he called his name Israel.
Right.
And the Most High said unto him, I am Yahweh Almighty, be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of thee, and kings shall come out of thy loins.
So when the scriptures say that all nations should be blessed through Abraham, it's talking about the Israelites, because each tribe of the nation of Israel is each tribe of the nation of Israel is considered a nation in itself. You see? So go ahead.
And the land which I gave Abraham and Isaac, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed after thee will I give the land.
Right, so the covenants and the land, the promises was made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So if you ain't got a precept, we'll jump back to Galatians 3 and 16.
Galatians chapter 3 and 16. Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made.
Now Brother Baba Kashar, can you please answer me? You know, who was the seed? What seed was given the promises?
Right, that's Israel.
Right. According to the scriptures, Abraham, it was made with Abraham and his seed. What seed was that? Isaac. And Jacob. Abraham had 8 sons, all right? Which he had Ishmael by, who is that? Hagar. And he had the other 6. He had 6 by Keturah. And he had 1 by Sarah. And Sarah had Isaac, which the promise was given unto Isaac. That's that seed, all right? And then Isaac had 2 sons. Isaac had Esau and Jacob. The covenant and the promise of having the land and dominion, all right, forever, an everlasting covenant was given unto Jacob, which his name was changed to Israel, which we got. Bob can show you, continue reading.
Yeah. Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. He said not, and to seeds as of many, but as of one.
But one, go ahead.
And to thy seed, which is a Mashiach.
Right, because Yahweh Shah came through the loins of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right. So we'll jump over to Romans 9, and if you ain't got a precept, this will be the last one. Romans 9 and let me see, 7.
This is Romans 9 and verse 7. Neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children, but in Isaac shall thy seed be called.
And that's self-explanatory. All right. At this point in the video, that's self-explanatory. That just because Ishmael and the 6 sons of Keturah came out of Abraham, the promise was not given unto them. All right. It was indeed given to Isaac. All right. Go ahead.
That is, they which are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of the Most High.
Right. The children of the flesh is Ishmael and the 6 sons of Keturah. Go ahead.
But the children of the promise are counted for the seed.
But the children of the promise is counted for the seed. We just got that, you know, through the Spirit. Go ahead.
For this is the word of promise. At this time will I come, and Sarah shall have a son.
Which is Isaac. Go ahead.
Not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Isaac.
Which was Jacob. Go ahead.
For the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of the Most High according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth.
And Jacob was called. And it wasn't by a great work that Jacob did, but it's the Most High elected him. All right. Chose him to be that seed that received the promise. All right. So go ahead.
In verse 12, it was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger, as it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated.
And that concludes the lesson. You know, the promised seed, all right, or the seed of the promise was Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, man. All right, not all nations, man. All right, so if you ain't got nothing else, listen. All right, so Lord willing, this lesson was edifying unto the elect. All right, we want to give all praise and glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Ruach, double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who received this truth from through the Spirit, and shalom to the brothers. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying.
Shalom.